actually spoke was my grandmother's funeral. It's been a while. But that's neither here nor there. The topic that was pondering on my heart for a while is love.
Right.
And if I had to title it, if you wanted the title of the discussion we're going to have is love is what we need to bring God's children home.
Okay.
Man, that's good.
All right.
And I thought about it a lot because a lot of times people don't go to church or they're not familiar with church. And it's not so much that God is not love, it's just people that represent God don't necessarily show the correct love they're supposed to show.
All right.
And I want to talk about that because it's very important that we learn love. That is the focal point of any ministry is love.
Yes.
With love, things can grow. If you're not showing love, people feel like where they are in life,
Tell the truth.
that's the only place they have to be.
That's right.
And
Love.
sometimes we get caught up on,
Come on.
I know it was gonna get hot.
I got you.
sometimes we get caught up on situations. And I want to talk about a couple of different scenarios that I have from the Bible. But the one that stood out in my mind the most was the prodigal son. And that's Luke chapter 11.
Yes, Lord.
Good. Yes.
Yeah, I got to bear maybe. I don't have my glasses. I forgot them. Oh boy.
You need a reader?
Yeah, somebody please.
All right. Luke 11. Luke 11 what?
25 through 37.
All right.
No, that's not it. Oh, sorry, Luke 15, 11 through Luke chapter 15.
Luke chapter 15, 11 through.
11 through 31.
Amen. And the word of the Lord says, and he said, a certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living. And not many days after the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living.
All right, we can pause right there. Now, it's very important that we understand this. We have a son, 2 sons. One son said, "Hey, Dad, give me my inheritance now. I don't want to wait. I'm gonna go out," because he knew what was going on. Now, I thought about that and I pondered on it for a while because I'm like, you know what? It's gonna people that he knew the right way. Okay, he was raised the right way. His father he wanted his inheritance, but during those times, it was disrespectful to ask for your inheritance if your father had not been passed.
Right.
So the fact that his father was still living, it was kind of disrespectful. But even though it was disrespectful, the father could have said, "No, I ain't giving it to you."
Yeah.
But he gave it to him anyway.
Yeah.
Why did that stick out in my mind? I was like, you know what? He could have just said, "Hey, bro, hey, you be a little disrespectful now. You need to fall back now. You're getting a little out of hand."
Out of
But no,
order.
he gave it to him. He gave it to him. Why did he give it to him? He let him go. He let him go, and he did wild things. He went out and did everything that he wasn't supposed to do. He went and he did.
That's right.
And it's like he was just having a wild party. Like, hey, I got my money. He was doing everything against what his father had taught him to do. Read on.
All right.
And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land.
Stop. Right there. The Bible declares that he went through all. Everything that his father instilled in him, he lost it because he went astray. That's how it is with some people who have started out with God, but they somehow lost their way. Even though God instilled everything that they were supposed to have in them, they went out in the world and they lost it.
Yes, yes.
They went further and further away from God, even though they knew it wasn't right for them to leave God, but yet they still left him because, sometimes we feel like we know what's better. We know what's better. Like God, we know what's best for ourselves. And he got caught up in himself because he was feeling like, Man, I'm grown.
Tell it.
Man,
Tell
I'm
the
gonna
truth.
go take my money. I'm gonna go do what I need to do. I'm like, Pops, I see what you're saying, but I feel like it's a better way.
Come on, make it
So
plain.
there's people that have left because they felt like they had a better way to live.
That's right.
And that doesn't take away that they didn't say that he was a bad son for doing it. It just said he took his inheritance and he left.
That's what it said.
Read on, read on.
And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in that land. And he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country.
Stop right there. There was a famine in the land. That means when he had it, the people that was with him was rocking with him. Okay, hey, you buying this out? I'm gonna use like today's terminology. You got money. You got your pops left you some inheritance. You wasn't supposed to get it until you mature, but you said, I'm gonna get it now. You went out there, you balled out, you was buying the club, buying bottles, making it rain in the VIP section, all that crazy stuff. Paying people rent, paying people car notes. He was like, yo, I'm getting it. And guess what? Oh, I'm down to my last dollar. Everybody that was around him vanished. There was a famine in the land. That means it was dry. There was nothing there that he could cling to. There was nothing there that could motivate him to stay focused. It was dry.
Right.
It was done. He depleted everything that he had, and that was right. Sometimes people go astray.
Yes.
They will do what is wrong. But it's going to come a time and a place where they're going to have to realize, I'm at a standstill.
It's good.
And because he was in a famine, that means it was a dry land. He depleted everything he knew. He started to think. He had other options. The first option was he took up.
And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country.
So he figured, okay, dang, I lost everything my daddy told me. Let me go get on with a citizen. Maybe they can help me get back on my feet. That's what he was figuring. Yes, but go ahead, keep going, keep going.
And he sent him into his fields to feed swine.
Okay, so hold. He came from a place where he basically had pretty much everything that he could have wanted and needed. He had it. Blew it all.
That's what he
Came to a dry place. Now he's in the field feeding swine. Let's talk about a pig. Pig is the most vital animal there is. Why? Because they eat everything. Any and everything they eat, a pig. So he got a job feeding swine. So it's like, you got to understand something. When we leave God and we go out on our own and we stop allowing God to provide for us, we come to a place where he was feeding swine, pigs, filth. When I think of pig, I think of filth, unless it's bacon or ham. I mean, it's still filth. Pork is pork, but with bacon or ham, I might change my mind.
Dress it up nice.
You know?
Dress it up nice.
Keep reading, Pastor. Keep reading.
And he would have fain have filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare?
Pause right there. So he went to the land, famine. He's with the pigs now, and he's so hungry because he realized that he couldn't. He came to the point where he realized, man, I'm getting hungry. I can eat the slop with the pigs. He's about to start going there, and then he thought about it. Oh, you know what? I could go back to my father's house. Now, he wasn't thinking that he was going to go back to the position that he was in. What he said was, my father has servants. So he's thinking, hey, I know I blew all my inheritance. I didn't do everything that God had instructed me to do. So, hey, I might not be able to go back as I was before, but at least I could go back as a servant. And sometimes when people leave, sometimes they feel like they can't be restored because of things they have done.
Right.
That's right.
And if you get caught up on the things that you're doing in the place that you are in right then and there, then it's going to kind of take away from God being able to bring you back to where you need to be.
Right.
Now, he wasn't so much focused on getting to back where he needed to be, but he just wanted to go to his father's house so he could be a servant. And he understood that being a servant in his father's house was better than where he was at that present time. Because at that present time, before he left his father's house, he thought he had all the answers to his problems.
That's right.
Because whatever daddy was saying, he felt like, hey, I could do better. But then experience is the best teacher.
Yeah.
You could tell somebody over and over again
Uh-huh.
about, hey, you might not want to go down that road, but they feel like, well, I could go down that road because I could miss the pothole, but they didn't realize that the pothole that they missed, it was a ditch right there.
Come on.
So sometimes you gotta experience is the best teacher. Keep going, Pastor.
And when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee.
Pause. That's a lot right there.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor, read that again. Read that again.
One more time.
And I will arise and go to my father.
Pause. He will arise. So I'm thinking like, well, he will arise. That means he had to be down.
Right.
To arise, you mean he had to get up.
That's right.
He had to get up. The first step to reconciliation is
Come
God
on,
is
come
understanding
on.
that he loves you.
Right.
And you have to have that ability to know it and then to rise above what it is that you're going
Come
through.
on, preach it. Preach it.
We focus a lot of times when people mess up, that's all we judge them by is what they done wrong.
Right, right.
Good.
And if he was allowing his thought process, because I'm pretty sure, it's not in here, but I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure he had to think along the lines like, man, what did I do?
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
To get to this conclusion, this point where he
And I
is in
messed
his
up.
life,
Right,
it
right.
had to come a point in time when he realized, man, I went wrong somewhere.
Come on, you teaching.
I went wrong. And the first step to reconciliation with God is you have to acknowledge where you went wrong.
Yes.
And God's love will help you do that. It will help you to recognize where you went wrong.
That's good.
Come on, Pastor.
That's right.
Whew.
I will arise and
All right,
go to my father,
Yes.
and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven
Yes.
and before thee.
My hope. Now, he arose and he went back home to his father.
Uh-huh.
Now, sometimes we do things, we leave home kind of messed up. Some people be like, his pride.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we got pride. Pride getting in the way. They'll be like, man, I ain't going back home, man. I ain't trying to hear that. But he arose and went back home to his father because he understood, man, my father has servants. Because he said it. My father has servants. He has hired servants. He has hired help. They're living better than me.
Huh.
Keep going, Pastor.
Right.
And am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him.
Pause. Read that again, Pastor.
And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him.
He arose and went to his father. He was a great way off. His father saw him.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked myself, the question that came to my mind is like, how did his father know he was coming back?
Come on.
Yeah.
It didn't say he wrote his dad, hey dad, sent him a scroll, a letter, hey father, I'm out here living crazy, I need you to, I'm gonna come, I need you to make some room to come home and come get me. That goes to let me know that his father had to be outside waiting for him.
Right.
Uh-huh.
That means every day he had to be outside looking, like he knew his son was coming home.
He knew
See,
him.
that's what we have to understand. When somebody truly been experienced with God love, they may fall astray, but best and believe, if it's genuine and it's embedded, they're going to be coming home.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not our job to kind of,
Yes.
hurry up, get over here. We just supposed to look and wait for him. Because while he's looking at his father, he's realizing that, you know what, this is a better life for me. What I had before I left was better than what I went through.
Right.
Even though I went through some things based on choices, the life that I had with my father was better than any life I could imagine. Keep reading, Pastor.
Yes.
And he arose and came to his father. But when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him.
Pause. His father saw him and had compassion.
Right.
Even though he took his whole entire inheritance and wasted it
Right.
on righteous living, parties,
Mm-hmm.
probably some women here and there.
Right, right.
The boy was out of control.
Had the money.
And took his money and was like, yeah, I'm going all out. He did all this, and when his father seen him, he had compassion.
Wow.
He didn't
That's
He
good.
didn't bring up any of the stuff that he did.
He
That's
did.
good.
He didn't bring up, man. Yo, yeah, I see you now. I see you want to come home now, huh? Huh? You had enough. Before I told you them friends ain't your friends. They
Come
done
on.
took your money and left. Yo, now you want to come back to this house.
That's
Oh,
what
now
we
you
do.
want to act like you got some sense. Now you want to act like you got
That's
something right. He didn't say none of that. He did not
That's what we
say
do.
any of that.
Come on.
He had compassion because number one, if somebody's wrong, 9 times out of 10 they already know they're wrong.
That's right.
His father already knew because it says he seen him from afar off. That means he was anticipating his return.
That's
Uh-huh.
good.
And because he was anticipating his return, he understood that what his son needed right then and there was love. It wasn't I told you so's.
Come on.
Because sometimes we get caught up in the I told you, I
That's
told you.
good.
I
That's
told you.
true.
Sometimes it's not the time and place for that.
That's
He
right.
understood that that was not the time or the place.
Come on.
So he hugged him with compassion.
Yes.
That means he had a concern and connect with him. Like, you know what? I'm happy. You
Yes.
came to your senses. And then he kissed him.
That's right.
There ain't no fruitiness going on here. I mean, he kissed him.
That's a
You know what I'm saying? I'm just his father's son. Something like he kissed him. Like, okay, he was happy to see him. Keep reading, Pastor.
And the son said unto him, Father,
Good, Josh.
I have sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servants, Bring forth the best robe and put it on him.
Pause. He comes into his father. He admits that he has sinned. He knows he's not worthy. So that goes to let me know that he was understanding that what he did was wrong. He came to his senses and he said, Father, I'm not worthy. That's something to think about. He understood that he's not worthy. None of us are worthy of God's love.
That's good.
I don't care how good you think you are or how awesome you think you're doing. We are not worthy of this kind of love. But this kind of love exemplifies the need for the church to take a stand and stand up and be compassionate when we have those prodigal sons coming to the church.
That's good.
Come on.
Because they're coming.
They're
And we
coming.
can't be here with the I told you so's. We can't be here with the you should
Say
have
it,
put
Lord.
others. We can't be here with that type of mentality. We can't do it.
That's good.
Because it's not going to help them grow. They're going to need compassion. They're going to need some hugs. I wouldn't advise kissing nobody because that might be a little bit, you know, hey, I'm just saying.
A little bit much.
You know what I mean? Might be a bit much for somebody coming to the door, man, tell you, hey, brother, we have you. Hey, brother, I was just trying to say some love.
Wrong church for me.
I won't hold out on that. But, yeah, but when we think about it, it's like, wow, like, God, like, this is what we need to be doing.
Yes.
Compassion. Somewhere along the way, we not everybody, but a lot of people have lost their compassion.
That's right.
Keep going,
That's
Pastor.
good.
Yes, yes.
But the
yes.
father said to his servants,
Yes.
Bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand,
Okay.
and shoes on his feet.
Pause.
Come on.
Now, a lot of people are not gonna like this. Well, we'll get to that part of the story. I know you probably already read it, but he bought him a robe and a ring.
Got it.
Shoes.
But when he was out there, and shoes. But when he was out there doing what he's doing, his concern was coming back just to be a servant. So some people are gonna go away from God,
That's right.
and they're gonna come back in this house,
Come
and,
on.
and they're gonna be restored higher than where they were.
Come on. Come on.
Or God's gonna put them right back in that position that they were in. It shouldn't matter. As long as they recognize that they need God and they come back, that's what we should focus on.
Yes.
We don't focus on the errors.
All right.
That's already done. If you messed up, it's already done.
That's
If you
done.
messed up yesterday, ain't nothing you can do about yesterday. You're gonna try for the day and move on.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? We can't focus on things that are out of our control or because we made bad choices. Now we can say, oh, he made a mistake. No, there was no mistake. He knew very well what he was doing, and he decided to go against dad, and he made a bad choice.
Yes.
But in spite of him making the bad choices, his concern was just being able to get back there. Just if I could get back to my father's house.
That's good.
He didn't say, oh, if I can get back to the being on top. He just said, no, I ain't worried about it. If I could just
Come on.
get back to my father's house,
That's good.
then I know my life will be better. I know my life will change.
That's good.
Keep going, Pastor.
Yes.
Man. Good.
But the father said to the servants, Bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet. And bring hither the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. For this my son was dead, and is alive again.
Well, I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah.
He was his father. Ring, robe, shoes. Now he's getting the fattest calf. That means he's going through the biggest, his best. He's bringing out his best.
Yes.
Now, to the natural mind, that doesn't make sense. You had a son that just took everything that you invested in him, squandered it foolishly,
Yeah.
and he come back home. You didn't scold him. You just hugged him and kissed him, and then you give him a ring, robe, and shoes, and then you say, you know what? Hey, go get my fattest calf. We about to have a party up in here.
All right.
That's right.
To the natural mind, that doesn't make sense because you feel like, yeah, yo, what in the world is food and just wasted all his daddy money? He come back in and they talking about throwing this man a party?
Right.
Keep going, Pastor.
All
For
right.
this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to be merry. Now his elder son was in the field. And as he came and drew nigh to the house, he heard music and dancing. And he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. And he said unto him, thy brother is come, and thy father hath killed the fatted calf, because he hath received him safe and sound.
Pause.
Come on.
Older son. This is older brother. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't really compare that because I'm the baby brother. But the roles were reversed, and my older brother went out there and started going crazy. When he come home, I'm gonna kind of be happy. But, I mean, I'm not going to down him because you can understand I could kind of understand where his mindset was. Like, he's like, hey, what's going on? I'm here. I'm grinding out. Here come in my younger brother who was foolishly spending my father's money and just like basically put his father's name to shame. Because number one, if we got to recap, he asked him for his inheritance, which was at that time is disrespectful because his father was alive. He spends it wildly, all his money, comes back home, and then he realizes, okay, bam, he wanted to be a servant, but then his father said, you know what now, we're gonna go bring out the bells and whistles. Keep going, Pastor.
And he said unto him, thy brother is come, and thy father hath killed the fatted calf, because he hath received him safe and sound. And he was angry, and would not go in. Therefore came his father out.
Pause.
And
Go back to that one. Go back to that one.
and he was angry, and would not go in.
Pause. This how it is. This is what this speaks to me. His older brother was in the house. He was putting in work. He was doing what he was supposed to do. But he was angry because he heard about what they were celebrating his brother. He felt, hey, my brother out here doing this foolishness and y'all celebrating this. I'm sitting here working every day, going hard, and I got your back, and I don't get the party. You give it to my brother.
That's right.
That's the mentality that some of us have
Yeah.
in the church today.
Yeah.
How he come in here after doing all that? He come in here, he get up here, he elevated. I've been here for 10 years, and I'm still in the same place.
Who do you think he is?
Saying something.
He was so focused on he felt that it wasn't fair that he neglected to see that his brother was once dead, but now he's back to life. We neglect, sometimes in church, we neglect the fact that these people coming back in here were once spiritually dead, but God has resurrected them. But because it's not how we want it to be, we get caught up on what we see with our natural eyes. And it's not supposed to be that way. We have to understand that when somebody comes back to God and they were in their filth, that means they come to the recognition that, you know what, this is where I went wrong and I need to get back to my father. If they come to that recognition when they come back to their father, we're supposed to make the welcome home easy and comfortable for them. But we're not doing that. Brother mess up, we want to talk about him. We want to dog him out. We want to tell everybody in the church what he did wrong, as opposed to that go to that brother, sit him down, talk to him, and pray with him and ask him, how can I help you to stay on this road? How can I help you not to fall down?
That's
Good. All right. All right.
I got the car with that.
That's all right.
And he was angry, and would not go in. Therefore came his father out, and entreated him. And he answered, answering said to his father, Lo, these many years I do serve thee, neither transgress I at any time thy commandments. And yet thou never gavest me a kid, that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this thy son was come, which hath devoured thy living with harlots, thou hast killed for him the fatted calf. And he said unto him, Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. It was meet that we should make merry and be glad. For this thy brother was dead, and is alive again.
Come on.
And was lost, and is found.
Oh, you tell me the truth. Tell it.
Read that again, Pastor.
Yes.
And he was angry and would not go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him.
Pause. He was angry. He didn't want to go in. He heard the music. He heard the party. He like, hey, I'm at work. What are you in there partying for?
That's
and then
right.
you come to find out you in here working and oh, my brother home? Okay, wasn't that? And then he reminded his father. He went out, he wasted his money on prostitutes and everything. The older brother mentality is alive and well now.
That's right.
And we have to break that mentality
Yes.
if we're gonna bring these people in.
Tell the truth.
Because people want to know about
Yes.
God.
They
Yes.
do.
Let's believe it or not, they want to know about God. Even though they may say, I don't believe in God, God ain't real. That's just coming from a place of hurt and pain.
Right.
Yeah.
It's coming from a place where they have been disappointed. Why? Because the people that they thought were connected with God, because we got to understand something. Sometimes people will misrepresent who Christ is.
That's right.
Oh, yes.
That's true.
And sometimes that's just the way things fall. But we have to have that mindset. The older brother's mindset was, you know what? I did everything I'm supposed to do, and y'all throwing this man a party. And his father, after he didn't even think, he wasn't thinking about, you know what, your brother could have died in his sin.
That's right.
Oh, you tell the truth.
You should be thankful that God gives them enough grace to come to the recognition that, you know what, I need to change. And then his father breaks it down to him. It's like, hold on. You had access to all this stuff all the time. But his younger brother appreciated more because his younger brother wasn't expecting to be received like that.
That's right.
He was expecting to be a servant. So therefore, that goes to let me know his state of mind was, you know what? I just want to get back to my father. I got to get back to my father. Keep going, Pastor.
Yes.
And he answering said to his father, Lo, these many years do I serve thee, neither transgress I at any time thy commandments.
Pause. Now, now there you go with that pride. I transgressed thy commandments. That means I didn't go against anything that you told me to do. I kept everything I was supposed to keep, and I don't understand why this man is being celebrated when he fell.
Right.
We have to understand that in order for people to come back to God, we have to have that mentality that, you know what, it's not about how long I've been serving or how many years I've done it right. It's about that one time that they got it right. Or they came back to their recognition of who God is.
That's good.
Keep going, Pastor.
That's good. And yet thou never gavest me a kid, that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this thy son was come, which hath devoured thy living with harlots, and hast killed for him the fatted calf, thou hast killed for him the fatted calf. And he said unto him, Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. It was meet that we should make merry and be glad, for this thy brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found.
Hallelujah.
He was lost.
God tell the truth.
God's love that he has for us helps us in so many different ways. We were once lost.
Yes, yes.
We have to understand that people coming in here, they're going to be lost.
That's true.
The church is established to give them hope,
That's true.
love,
True.
but we're lacking love. Somebody say, how are we lacking love? I'll give you a perfect example. A man is preaching the word of God, teaching the word of God, faithful 13 years, holding it down. Well, hey, yeah, great pastor, we follow the pastor. Let the pastor mess up.
Come on.
Let him have a late night where he got caught up with something that wasn't his wife. No, does it make it right? No, it doesn't make it right. Is it wrong? Yes, it's wrong. But God's love will allow you to understand that, you know what? They're going to mess up. People are going to make mistakes.
Thank you.
But because we have this misconception of what love really is, it's not unconditional, it's conditional. I love you as long as you're doing well. I love you as long as you're doing everything I want you to do.
Yes.
Unconditional love is loving someone regardless of who they are or what they have done. And that is the level of love that we have to operate in. We have to get to that level of love if we want people to come into this house. It's very imperative that we get this down now, because if we don't, we're fighting a battle, and the enemy is kind of like, I don't want to say winning, but it's like a fight. He's getting some rounds, because you got to understand something. Out there in the streets, they have a perverted kind of love,
Yes.
like the gang members. I work in prison, so I see a lot of gang members, and it's like they around each other and they hugging each other like, yo man, yo, what's up? That's how they feel they love. They got that kind of love. When you go to the church, we love those who are associated with us.
Come on.
We love people associated with us, meaning we only rock with people that go to our church. We only rock with people that believe in the same God that we do.
Come on.
That's the only people we talk to. You're not going to bring nobody to church just hang out with people that say it. Okay? Now I'm not, no, hold on, let me put a disclaimer in there. You ain't going to say, Brother Dillard said, well, I can't hang out with people that say it, so I'm going back to the strip club. No, I didn't say that. You got to understand, you got to know what's within your boundaries.
That's right.
Yes.
The purpose of God saving is sending his love. For God so loved the world that what? He gave his only begotten son.
Yes.
Love is giving.
God.
He gave. He gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believe in him should not perish but have everlasting life. I said all that to say this. God gave his son for you and me to be forgiven. So therefore, we have to paint the picture to people that this love that God had gave his only son is still existing. Because they don't believe it exists anymore in the churches. They don't believe his brothers is actually genuinely love me. They believe his brothers that love me as long as I'm doing this for them, as long as I'm coming to your church. What if I stop missing church for a few Sundays? What if I don't come to church for a few weeks? What if I don't read my Bible? You still going to talk to me, or you going to be like, hey man, that brother fell off, we're going to leave him alone? This kind of love we have to get to, because these cliques, these church cliques that's going on, it ain't bringing us no closer to God. It's not.
No.
And it's taken away from the people of God who are really truly there to help. Because guess what? You got to fight through all this other nonsense they experience just to reach that person, if the person who initially got in contact with them would have showed them God's love in the first place. This is something unavoidable. We cannot avoid it. We have to go in and we have to show love. I can't stress it. Why does this man keep talking about love? Because it's very important. Because there's people out there that's hurting. They're hurting inside. And in order for us to operate in this love, we have to learn how to forgive. A lot of times people can't operate in love because we still holding on to past hurts and pains. We holding on to it. If you cannot forgive, it's not possible for you to learn how to love. Especially we operating in agape love.
Yes, I'm telling it.
That's right.
Yes.
We holding on to past hurts and pains.
Yes, we are.
People out there is hurting. They want love. They want you to come and talk to them.
Yes.
And we got to understand something. Just because everybody's definition of love is different. Agape love is the same, but you got to understand these people out here.
Okay.
Some people may think love is when a man hit me. Some people may think love is when my daddy talked down to me. Some people may think he only loved me because he verbally and physically abused me. Some people have different perceptions of what love is. So when they come in here, their definition of love might be different. They might not be used to brothers actually calling them like, hey brother, what's going on? How you doing? Oh, what do you mean how I'm doing? Why is brother calling trying to get my business? Not realizing, no, I'm just not getting your business. I want to really see how you doing. I'm not a nosy brother by nature. I'm just calling to see how you doing.
Right. That's right. That's right.
But because you have to fight through so much, and I can talk about this God's love because God's love has helped me get back to where I needed to be. It helped me get back to this day right here, right now. Because 2 years ago, I didn't think this day was ever going to come anymore. I never spoke about this openly, but I was preaching my grandmother's funeral. But before that, I was singing a song. A particular individual took it upon himself to get up and take the microphone out of my hand in the middle of a service. Now, it bothered me. It really bothered me for a while because I was so hung up on it. And it got to the point where I said, you know what? If this is what church is God, I told God like this, I said, God, this is what this is about. You can have it. I don't want nothing to do with it.
I know that's right.
Because I'm not about to get up here and try to be in no competition with nobody about you giving the gift that you're giving me. I'm focused on what I'm saying. I'm talking about God's love. This is how God's love will change your mind. Because the person never apologized for the thing that they done to me. I began to harbor almost hatred for him. To be honest with you. It almost got to the point, but I had to catch my old brother. And I mean, Jock would always be like, hey, you gotta let it go. But I was like, you always, people, I would get mad because sometimes people always talk about letting stuff go. It ain't happening to you.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now, that doesn't mean that what he's saying wasn't right.
That's
Right,
right.
yeah.
It was right. I needed to let it go. But at that time, I wanted to hold on to it. Why? Because it made me feel comfortable. It was comfortable for me to say, I don't want to go to church no more because that display of who people are in church, I don't want to be. Excuse. That was the biggest excuse I ever told myself.
Tell it.
And it came to a point where, you know what, your life starts. I was kind of sort of similar to the prodigal son, besides, you know, spending your money on prostitutes. I ain't got that much money. I ain't got that much money right now anyway. But other than that, you know, I can kind of relate to the brother how you felt. You know what I'm saying? When you get out there and you in that world, it's like you start connecting back with people. Oh, yes, it was good to have you back. And you start realizing, then once I got to that place where, oh, family, it was a false sense of love.
Yes.
When you with God and people know you love God and they welcome you back to the same nonsense that you came from, I have to question, is that really love?
My
Thank you.
God.
That's what I'm talking
You mean to tell me you willing to accept me going backwards?
about.
Y'all willing to kick it with me? I'm getting lit with y'all. Y'all want to kick it with me now? Ain't nobody telling me, hey, bro, you know, you might want to go back to your father's house.
Good.
They didn't love you.
But God's love showed me, son, I'm waiting on you.
Yes.
He was sitting, waiting afar off. And people feel, I know people feel some kind of way. This brother was doing this and that, and he's back. Because one thing about me, one thing my father always taught me was this. When you read the word, when somebody preaches the word, you go home and read it for yourself. You read what's in this book and you say what God gave you. Don't talk, I mean, that's fine. The preacher could interpret and give it to you, but you read it and see what you get from it.
Yeah.
Read the word for yourself. And I began to read the word and I knew God was with me.
Yes.
Because his grace covered me.
Yes, it
His
did.
grace covered me. Through all the foolishness, his grace covered me. But I'm back now. And guess what? The oldest son mentality, it does exist because we have to war against it. People feel like because you went out and did what you're supposed to do, you didn't do what you're supposed to do, how can you come back here and be in a place where God can use you? That doesn't matter. Let me just delete, let's just erase that foolishness right there. Whatever that nonsense that we call, where people feel like, well, I fell from God, and now that I'm back in the church, God can't use me until I get certain things together.
Yeah.
That's the biggest mistake you could ever make, because if I had stayed where I was in my mindset saying God can't use me, guess what I would have did? I believe I probably would have been dead. I believe it. Because I had to persevere through how I felt. Because I understand that God's love is unconditional. He loved me in spite of my wrongs, my mistakes, my choices, my good choices and bad choices.
Yes.
He stayed with me.
Yes.
And for that, I can know I'm trying to help us to understand
Yes.
that we have to get this love. This love is something we have to get out here and we have to show daily.
Yes.
It's not just a Sunday
Yes.
service thing.
Thank
When the
you.
lights is on, the music is going, you get your head shot. It's more than that. It's more than that. That's just not enough.
That's it.
It's not enough.
These people looking for more than a dance and a pony show.
Come on.
Don't be sure.
They're looking for more than that.
That's right.
And when God show love, we have to show love back.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm really understanding that this love is not the same. It's not the love like, okay, you got love for your people. Everybody, the Bible talks about, it's good to love somebody who does good to you. Man, that ain't too hard to do. You love your people in your inner circle. What about that enemy that's constantly coming up against you and attacking you? Constantly lying on you. Constantly trying to just do all things to get you all misconstrued or off track. That's the people that we have to love.
Yes. Say so.
But I ain't quite there yet. Lord knows I'm going to get there. But I'm being honest. I'm just being real with you. I can sit up here and say, I have that love. And that love is living in my heart forever. And my enemies can smack me and I will do whatever they ask. Because the Bible says. Okay, that sounds good, but the reality situation is somebody keeps stepping on your foot intentionally, you're going to give them a shove after a while.
Right.
Now, I'm further along than where I was with it. I'm getting better. It's God. I'm learning to operate in this agape. Because we got the eros love, okay, we got the philios, but this agape love I need to focus on. I know the eros with the romantic, okay, I've been there, done that. I got love for my homies, my boys, my friends, my brothers in Christ. I've been there, done that. But this agape love is what I'm trying to. I have to learn how to let it hit me more and more every day. Because a lot of times I get caught up on how I feel about a situation.
Yes.
When somebody does me wrong, how I feel about it, how it made me feel, as opposed to what God is telling me to do. Now, that situation I told you about earlier 2 years ago, when I got angry and I kind of got, I know the Lord forgive me. I got my flesh. Before I went to my flesh, the Spirit said, hug him and say, you know what? I love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's right.
But I didn't do it because I wanted to go with what was comfortable for me, which was my flesh. And when you operate in agape love, you understand that when your flesh will rise, but you have to be like, oh, no, you know what? Maybe I better not do that. That's not appealing to God. That's not going to win because people were looking, people were watching. They watched. And afterward, they pulled me over and said, look. And I will never forget the lady that came and pulled me to the side. After she pulled me, right? I need to talk to you. Listen, you a leader.
Yes,
People
you
are watching you.
Yes, they are.
Regardless if your feelings were justified or not, people are watching you.
Yes.
They're watching us.
Yes.
Don't think nobody ain't watching you. They're keeping an eye on us. Because they want to see if this love of Jesus and God that we talk about is real. They want to see if it's genuine. Because people have been bamboozled with love for a long time. People making excuses, people lying about love, using love name, just using love just to do anything to people.
Right.
So they want to see if this love is real. Only way to show them this love is real is to try to live this word out daily.
That's good.
That's all I can do is walk this word out daily.
Yes.
Reading it is fine, but I have to live it daily. And I'm about to close.
That's good.
I'm about to close. I talked about that. Wow. You know what? I thought I was going to leave some of these notes, and I really did.
Man, that's good.
God will do
Yes.
sometimes.
Yes.
Speaking in the spirit.
Love covers the multitude of sin.
Yes, it does.
I'm going to close out on that. But I want to just hit on that for just a little bit. Love covers the multitude of sin. Love covers the multitude of sin. If we love somebody, it's not about where they are. It's not about how much sin they have in them. It's about that love that Christ showed. I'm going to give you one more example and I'm going to my seat. There was a woman that got caught in the act of committing adultery. By law, she was justified to be stoned. If they had killed her, they were within every rights of that law at that time to go ahead and go through it. I'm paraphrasing this. They're going that hard at Jesus. Like, hey man, you see this? Jesus, they say start right. Right? Then he says, he was without sin, let them cast the first stone. And that stuck out of my mind because I'm like, man, she was guilty. Like she was. Yeah, we got real here. Thank you, Lord. If you heard this story, she was an act. They called her an act. She was guilty. She was justified to be stoned. Jesus says, he without sin, let them cast the first stone. The crowd goes away, and then he basically says, hey, where are your accusers? Basically, they're not here? Okay, sin no more. That's what it's all about. When they come in here, we ain't supposed to be in here talking about, oh, ain't you the one that beat? No. Come here.
That's good.
Show them love. They get saved. Because we got to understand that God is the one that's going to do the work. One
That's
plant,
right.
one water, God get the increase.
That's
Yes.
good.
Yes.
So we have to focus on that. Understand this. It stuck out of my mind because she was guilty. A lot of people are going to be guilty of what they have done.
Right.
And justifiably, some of the things that we have done, we should not be standing here.
That's right.
Right.
But Jesus told us, we're your accusers. Okay, you know what? I don't accuse you either. Sin no more.
Sin no more.
Don't get me wrong. He acknowledged what she did was wrong, but he told her sin no more.
That's right.
But he didn't, it's like he didn't judge her. He just told her, go. And I'm pretty sure that when That went a long way.
Yes.
This agape love
Yes.
we have to get because it's very critical in these last days.
Very important.
People are looking for love.
Yes.
they are.
They're looking for people that's going to be loving, honest, and transparency. But in order to get love, honest, transparency, and faith in God, we have to learn how to forgive.
Good.
Amen.